Welcome in, everybody. It's late. I mean, late-ish. Normally, I'm streaming at this time on like Twitch, but we had NFL football today. My team lost, but I still have responsibilities. I had to do a show for Bleacher Report. So, yeah, there's that. This content creator gets around. I get around. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're having an amazing weekend. Today is going to be a big day where we start discussing the end of the arc. And that means that y'all will also be the first people available to help with the grading. I will be sharing out the grade in the comments section down below periodically through the stream. So for those who are here, appreciate you being here, especially if you're APAC EU. Dude, thank y'all for being here so late / so early for where y'all are. And yeah, we'll go from there. Let me get Chair out the way. Chair, why are you always up my butt, buddy? Move Chair out the way. So it's gonna be a busy month coming October, y'all. Starship Fleet Command's got new stuff they're launching here with Territory. Star Trek Infinite comes out. We got a video for Star Trek Infinite dropping. Y'all better be excited about that. If you're a PC gamer, you're gonna love this game. At least I feel like it. If you like grand strategy, a lot of people have been talking about the game Birth of the Federation or something. I've never played it, but kind of like as an idea of the style of game that it is. So yeah, we're going to be busy reclaiming territory. You're right, Robotsky, as well as going through all the normals. So again, just a reminder, we will be discussing the grading. Y'all are available to do it tonight. We're doing it kind of like an early set. Obviously, this is what tomorrow's video is going to be about, but let's be real. My video tomorrow about grading is probably not going to be very positive. I don't want to lean people in a direction, but this has been a tough month. This has been a tough month, and a lot of people are nervous about next month, and it's okay to acknowledge that, and it's okay to try to work around it. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, we're going to kind of go over everything tonight. And I did end up, the Overlords gave me a battle pass. So for those who are wanting, there will be, for those who are wanting, just saying, there will be a video about Freeman, the new officer that many will or should have if they bought the battle pass. We're going to do a video on her. We're also going to continue to update about the Gilded Pickle, and the Gilded Pickle is already gotten a video, but we're still working on mathing out how the refinery ends up for some of those pieces, because believe it or not, didn't have as many people this month rushing to max the Gilded Pickle. Now Ryan says, I think the Arc Runner did a decent job this month. They did a good job of putting the events on schedule. The biggest problem was the spend event tiers, and the spend event tiers were, intentional, and I don't really think they had a choice on that, to be honest. Maybe they did, but I will say there were some things I didn't like in terms of synergy. We talk about this with Arc Runners. I personally love events that are synergized together. Like if a battle pass event is away teams, then that weekend's event or that day's event is going to also have an away teams event. So there's overlap. Whereas this time we had a lot of like, hey, away teams, then the next day another away teams, and then like this one we're doing right now where we have this heroic SMS, and we hyped up like, hey, this heroic SMS is amazing. It lets you get Hugh if you have the stuff. And then the next day running an SLB that wasn't listed, though I did try to tell people that there would be another XSLB. I did try to tell people, look, you just be warned, Saturday is going to hit you. And that means that we had an event back to back that didn't have synergy for that. And that reminds me, I've got to finish my Qs tonight. I got to finish that to make sure I unlock you. But that was one of those things like, hey, if you weren't paying attention, you could miss that. Or if Scopely just simply didn't say anything, which that's kind of the case. They didn't come out and say anything. Matt says, I don't like how they broke PvP, and I don't think I ever was paywalled. I am one of those, like, I understand there's going to be paywall for some things, right? I mean, it's the game. It's trying to make money, whatever. But this is definitely a month, to your point, Matt, where everything ran into the wall. Absolutely everything hit the wall. So that's difficult to kind of like get excited about, right? Hey, Booper, good to see you. Bryce says it's not that hard to lean people in a negative direction. Scope did that all on their own. And that's true. I always try to keep the grading as objective as possible, right? Like I want y'all to have honest opinions, but I don't want to lead y'all. I did try to lead y'all at the beginning of the month when it came to like spending, and I don't hide that, but I still want y'all's honest opinion, because if y'all ended up enjoying something, it's always good to find that good and give it a shout, right? Like we want to find the good things and try to give them credit if those exist. So we try to find those where we can. And if we can't find them, well, then heck, we can't find them. But if it's at all possible, I do want to try to be positive when I can. While we're here real quick, y'all, I'm going to be doing all my dailies, all my things on screen. Y'all, please don't let me forget anything, as I have a habit of doing. I do have a habit of forgetting things. So if y'all be so kind to be my literal wingman here, we greatly appreciate it. So how you doing, Cameron? Good to see you, man. Welcome on in, Server 20. And by the way, if you're watching right now, I want to provide opinions and thoughts, jump into the comments, and also do me a huge favor, invite your friends and alliance mates over here too. Omicron, good to see you. Andy says, this arc sucked. I spent less than last month, although I think I'm going to end up with all 3 officers in a tier 2 Billups. I am only going to end up with a Freeman because I couldn't win either of my SSLB, and I didn't have enough mats to finish the heroic, which was very, very heroic. I don't necessarily hate the style. It wasn't as good as last month, but I don't necessarily hate the style, but I was unable to finish. Evening, Mark. Good to see you. And hey, what's up, Monkey? Shout out to the Server 121 family, but specifically the alliance that everybody on Server 121 wishes they could be. Sith. And if you're on 121, that's who you should join. Join Sith. Q. Thank you so much. And everybody's like, oh, somebody paid Rev to know. Sith actually hangs out with me all the time, and I enjoy hanging out with Sith. So Sith gets love. Q, thank you for the $2.99. I appreciate you, man. Bringing it in with the love. How are you, man? Good to see you as always. You're one of the regulars, but still great to see you. Chris says the fact that you had to finish 2 heroics to get both options instead of picking one and ignoring the other, terrible design. Well, let's call it what it is, right? That design is clearly to get you to spin. And I know why. I mean, it's obvious why it happened, right? Coming into this month, clearly they're resetting PvP, right? They clearly have and I talked about this in a video a couple weeks ago, they have a higher value on these officers than they do other officers. They didn't want people to be able to easily obtain them even through an SMS. And I don't agree with that, just like Carissa doesn't. But just to make sure we're on the same page, this is also why I'm going to continue to push people to our surveys, because these are literal data points that I can go to Scopely and be like, hey, I don't care what you think, you're wrong. Here's what the players are saying. So just give it a thought if you haven't already. I know when you're going through negative months, it's very difficult to really like want to do more of that. I 100%, I really do get it, y'all. I mean, I personally don't like doing as much stuff when things are negative, but we have to. It's kind of like, you know, my Saints team. Well, we lost today against the Green Bay Packers, blew a 17-point lead. Our quarterback we just got a serious potential injury. You know, it's a negative day, but I still got to put out film studies. So we still got to keep it going, right? We got to keep it going. Chris says, it wasn't this time last year they introduced Battleship Strike Team, etc. Yeah, it's right at 1 year ago that we started getting strike teams. So you remember we had the Bajoran months rolled out with the Dominion, and that was where we started with our strike team. So if you come over here, we got Strike Team Laan, Ortegas, and Una. So we had that last little bit of Strange New Worlds. Then it led into DS9 right at 1 year ago. And that's when we got these Strike Team officers that came through and, you know, really, in our opinion, ruined in a lot of ways the PvP meta. And now they've redone it again. Because now it mostly is about, I mean, it really is Freeman, Lorca, Honor Guard War. Can it be beaten? Yeah, there are definitely scenarios where it can be beaten, but that is now the go-to better than everything crew. Better than everything crew. Yeah, and it's just, again, most of us are going to call that bad design, but for Scopely, it just really matters how many people invested in that design. And I'm very curious to see if that ends up being a good month for them or a bad month for them, and we'll try to poke the bear and find out. Chris says Freeman does have a mostly hard counter with TOS Uhura. I 1,000,000% disagree with this. I understand why people are saying it, but that is not countering Freeman. That is countering criticals and hull breach. Freeman is still extremely powerful, but TOS Uhura has been an anti-crit officer from the very beginning. And sure, that does indeed help a great deal. But if you got a heavy spender who's invested heavily in Freeman, that's still not going to overcome what Freeman is adding to Isolytic. But Isolytic is made way ridiculously stronger because Isolytic Cascade is multiplying on top of all the other multipliers, including your criticals. It makes it even better. But TOS Uhura is not a counter to Freeman. It's simply a counter to criticals. And Freeman is still going to do a wallop heckin' of damage. And you can still work your crews around that fact, because if people start running anti-critical crews, you can still run things to beat them. You're simply changing out what you're running. So it's, yeah, there are ways to try to get around it. But I want to be very clear. This is still completely resetting PvP in a negative way. There is no real balance with this one. And I think that's the biggest concern is you're seeing players put up 2-3 times the amount of isolytic damage as they are normal damage, even with or without criticals. And that's just simply not balanced mechanics, right? That's the concern. So it says, unlocking the officers is the start of a journey, not the end. Scopely, sadly, has never gotten this, despite having been told by players of all ops levels. It just comes down to the almighty dollar, Andy, right? It's whatever they value something as. And all I can do is continue to provide the feedback of what y'all are saying, because I agree with you. This is simply not a good way to run these officer runs. It makes it to where there's a disconnect, and we don't want to become invested in the game. Linda says, just like with Strike Team, want the next round to be officers that beat this crew. Well, I was talking to Monkey earlier. As y'all saw, we don't have a Battleship Strike Team member that's gotten added. Billups matches up with IST. Ransom matches up with EST, and Freeman is a lower deck synergizer. So we are still waiting for the Battleship Strike Team officer, and this feels like a safe bet that that's going to come out next month. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to, but you're probably going to get that completion of the team coming out, and we know that there's not just one officer that comes out, and usually when they run out of PvP officer, they come in sets, so more and more to run, and then it would even make even more sense if they did it overlapping with this new territory revamp. So, yeah. Does Freeman give ISO damage to ships, or would I still need an artifact to have ISO? Freeman still gives ISO, and I will make a video on her this week. So not only does Freeman give ISO, but Freeman also has Isolytic Cascade, which the best way to think about Isolytic Cascade, in my opinion, is the same way that criticals work for regular damage. It's kind of like how Isolytic Cascade works for isolytic damage. So very, very deadly. Very, very deadly. So we just need better balance with all this. We need better balance with the mechanics of this game. And when they create these new things, I said this, if y'all remember, I said this when isolytic damage came out. I said, as long as they keep it these small numbers, this is actually fine. It's good for the game. But as we could probably predict, and as I warned, they went for the big numbers. And now you're having some members put out ISO damage 3-4 times that of their normal damage. And we've really reached a point now where in PvP, isolytic is the name of the game. And we'll see if we're able to work around that. My concern is for you spenders out there that everything you just invested in, just like those FTs that were made useless by these new crews, Freeman in 6 to 12 months is going to then be reset again, you know? So we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. But that's my current concern. And I would say it's gotten to the point where it's driven me away from pure PvP. Now, I still love pirating, OPC hunting. I still love that. In fact, I actually left a miner out last night in OPC or token space OPC and let it get hit. And I'm happy about it. Wait, did somebody cloak when they did it? Surely not. Surely not. Yeah. Okay, there's the Isogen one. And then, okay, they cloaked and did it with the amalgam. That works. No problem with that. And they stole 5 million. So I enjoy that aspect of the game still, which, by the way, throw Freeman, Honor Guard Wharf, and Lorca on a miner and freak some people out, scare them. They're probably not ready for that. All this to kind of just get back to the main point being, I'm not really into straight up PvP anymore. It's just, it's cookie cutter now. It wasn't great. It wasn't fleshed out to begin with. And now it's just, I think it's, for me, I'm disinterested in it. And I'm hoping they bring me back to being interested in PvP. Because now I'm just into my pirating. So, we'll see. We shall see. Andy is conjecturing that's going to be Shax for battleships, Tiana as a defense against ISO Cascade, or the new officers that could come out next month. If you haven't watched Lower Decks, strongly recommend that you do. Strongly recommend that you do. There isn't a challenge to PvP anymore. Yeah, there's not. And see, I talk about in incursions. The only reason I enjoy incursions in terms of the PvP aspect is active base defense. That's a lot of fun to me. But it's still not where this game should be, especially as a game that clearly wants to go in a PvP direction, right? They're never going to stop with the incursions push. They're clearly trying to reinvigorate PvP in territory, which was a big thing when it came out. They want the game to be a PvP game. But if you want to go in that direction, you better provide a challenge to your player base. I don't feel like that's happening right now. I don't really feel like that's happening right now. And a reminder, just a quick reminder, if y'all haven't already, we have started. You can go ahead and start sharing this out with your alliance. The form for this month's grading is now out and open. So if y'all want to submit your opinions in, well, I encourage you strongly to do so, because I do work with Archduke and everybody. We take the basic word hunts, we go through the basic percentages, send it all to Scopely, and sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't, but we have definitely seen some major wins over the past couple of years. So we will continue to do it. If nothing else, we will know as content creators, because I do share the results out with the other content creators, we'll have a better idea of where y'all stand. So we shall see. Yeah, we shall see. There's too much mining that needs to be done. Mike, there is a lot of mining. I tend to ignore a lot of the mining, but you are right that there's a lot of mining that can be done. Andrew says, can we see Strange New World in Banga, Nurse Chapel, being used? I would assume that you can definitely see them making a peek back into the game. Oh, wow. Why did I lose against that Borg Sphere? That's weird. I changed the cruise around. Well, that's what I get for not paying attention. I had the wrong cruise loaded up and booted up. That'll happen. That'll happen. Good thing that the Armada event that I'm trying to score for only cares about starting, not winning. So it doesn't care that I just embarrassed myself by running crappy crews, because I never checked. I just threw some ships out there. All right, so just going to do a quick swap here. It's nothing too crazy, but it'll work. We'll leave that alone. All right, that'll be enough to just win. Maybe this is a push to get the people who don't like PvP to get involved. Maybe Moon Knight. But the only problem is, it kind of goes back to my main point. If that's your plan, like if you really are just trying to get everybody invested in wanting to participate in this, well, you got to do better than you're currently doing, right? Because if you're making PvP even more shallow as a concept and as a whole than it was before, well, then what's the incentive to want to participate in it? You know, and I guess there are some positives, you know, that we talk about these new crews. Well, maybe we are making it to where the sarcophagus maybe matters a little bit now. So yeah, there's that. I mean, there's definitely been quite a few of our mid-tier players who are excited that they're able to punch up and take, you know, down a much higher level. You know, we got people in the 40s punching up to the high 50s because of these new crews. If you catch somebody unawares or off guard, but even then, that's just kind of imbalanced. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm taking the side of like the mega whales and they should have everything easy. I'm saying that the game should have a level of balance, and we've just kind of left that, because it works both ways, by the way. Well, you have a Voyager question, Draken. I might have, because I copied over from the last one, I might have simply forgot to edit it out, but the main thing should stay the same, like the ship grading rubric, the features in it. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I didn't, where I might have done that. Where did I put it? Like, where did I accidentally put a Voyager question? I'll remove it. Yeah, I see where it is. It's the ship question. I'll reword it. I meant the Monavine. But anyway, I've got it reworded. Thank you for pointing it out, Draken. Thank you. Monkey says there isn't a fix for this. It's over in one round, other than the nerfing these officers, which they won't do, unless you bring something out like decreasing isolytic damage by X% when you're paying for a fix. And I'm with you, Monkey. For those that don't know, Monkey, one of our high levels. Monkey, you are at 59 right now, 58. And they're perfectly right. I mean, this is exactly the issue where not only are we talking about these making big ISO numbers, but the reason it's so impactful is because it's actually shortening up fights. And this has been happening for a while. For those who've been playing a long time, go back to like 2019. Remember when a lot of PvP fights, we used to talk about them being 10 to 20 rounds, maybe 15 rounds as an average. And then we got to where like, okay, 5 rounds to 7 rounds maybe. And now we're down to like 1 to 3 rounds for most fights. So not only are the numbers getting bigger, but they're resulting in the fights getting so short. And it's a lot more difficult to find balance in a short fight than it is a long fight, right? So they're creating a pretty drastic little hole that, how do they fill it in? And I don't have the answer because I'm not a game designer, but you have game designers from other companies kind of blast them. You know, Ripper is one of them, and you see that he works for EA. I have a friend that, works in Niantic, and he's complaining. For those who don't know, Niantic is the one that Pokemon Go, obviously a very different game, but still game developer. And I'm curious where they end up leading. And all of the other ones that I've talked to from different games talk about the warnings of power creep and how dangerous it can be long-term and how short-term it can be okay. But yeah, Alex says, does anyone follow Row? Row varies server to server. And it's not only server to server, but server age to server age and region to region. So there's not a really universal truth there when it comes to that. And Myrtle, good to see you. The best example recently is Honor Guard Worf. Remember when everyone was upset he only lasted 8 rounds? Yeah, that's a great point, Carissa. And I'll be honest, in terms of PvP balance, I thought Honor Guard Worf is a great example of balanced addition to PvP, because he gave you a limited time run to criticals, but there were natural counters that already existed in the game, right? TOS Uhura is in the game. TOS Spock is in the game. And even to an extent, Sela is in the game, though not as effective, still effective. There are abilities out there that had that negation set up already, but you've gotten rid of that with a lot of these new officers. So a couple of these are part of the fall of the PvP empire, so to speak. Damien, not burning the hat, is literally my hat to my podcast. You need to go get you one. It's about $30 on my website, revdeuce.com. I'm not burning my own hat, but go get one. This month has finally broken my will to play. Hey, man, you can leave if you want to. I'm not going anywhere. This game hasn't done anything that bad for me to leave, but I hope that you take you a break and maybe refine your Star Trek love. So, Mark says, see, that's it for me. I would have thought they were more scoped to bring in lower deck officers that activated in round 8 or round 9, or at least had a less of effect, right? Let's bring up Freeman, since we've been talking about her so much. And again, I'll make a video, which the video is mostly going to be showing off how ridiculous she is. But our lower decks officers, here's my Carol Freeman, tier 1. But if any player has any state, burning, hull breach, morale, assimilate, isolate cascade damage by 60% for 1 round. So not only is she going to actually help you with isolate damage creation and having that cascade effect, just really adding to the problems. And then, of course, more shots is always painful. And this is actually the big one. Why when people say, well, you can counter the run with TOS Uhura, I go, no. Because this is one of the most OP moves in the game, too. A guaranteed increase 2 shots. Like, just ridiculously strong. And this is something that is just, you mitigate this by, instead of making it 60% for 1 round, this is 10%, and this is 50%. That still would have been a very strong PvP officer. For any of the math nerds out there, they can see that, or they can run those quick numbers real quick. If you would have made this captain's ability half, and this one literally 1/6, she still would have been a very, very good officer, but not to the degree that you're currently seeing. And that's tier 1, by the way, which tier 5 is absolutely redonkers. Graduate McKay says, how do we grade these officers? I want to go eye for incomplete because it needs to know the counters and meta changing and game breaking in ridiculous manner, which that sounds like, Graduate McKay, you should be grading these with a harsh and negative. Sounds like you should be grading them with a harsh negative. You're not allowed to know what's coming out. That's the whole Scopely motto, man. It's FOMO, fear of missing out. You're not supposed to know what's coming. So throw those frustrations into the grading as you're going through it and pass along to your alliance. And as long as we keep having people participate, we will go to the overlords, light the fires, and bring the pitchforks. Brett says the next thing they should do is introduce an officer that can dispel any state. And that would be widening the meta, but not overpowered. The only problem with that, Brett, is, and I actually like the idea, is it would be risky. Because you don't necessarily want to negate morale, but I think it needs to negate morale. I think, to be fair, it would have to do that, right? And I'm curious if they were thinking about those type of things, really. So, Max says TOS Uhura the effect increase and crit damage is done, but the extra shots and iso damage still make her very effective. Correct, which is why I don't like the word counter, right? Because you can counter Freeman with TOS Uhura. But if Freeman's tier 5, tier 4, TOS Uhura probably not enough, right? So that's why I don't like to use the word counter, because that's how ridiculously strong Freeman is. The fact that she's coming in at tier 1 creating such a problem is one thing. But the fact that it is magnified by criticals is another, right? Is it possible these officers are to help fight the G6 ships? Richard, I'm just going to keep it real and say what I probably shouldn't say. You're crazy if you think this was released with the idea to help anybody take on G6 ships. Absolutely not. No, that's not the intent. Now, will these be important for fighting G6 ships? Sure. But this wasn't like a secret handout to the low spenders. It'd be like, hey, here's what's going to help y'all fight back. I promise you, that's not, that wasn't the goal, right? Not a fan of the pickle, kind of want your money back? Well, that's not how that works, man. You can't get your money back on the pickle. You've already eaten it. You've already eaten the pickle. Can't have money back now. So, sounds like they need to take a break and balance the game. Sure, Alex, but they'll never do that. The simple reason being, and we've talked about this before, Star Trek Fleet Command cannot take a break because it makes almost all of its money from new content. It doesn't have as much residual income as, you know, maybe we would like it to, because if it did have more residual, then maybe they wouldn't push this hard. That's the simple answer. This is how they make the money, and they're not going to be able to go to their investors and now their new owners in Savvy Games and say, hey, we're just going to, you know, take off 7% of the income for the year so we can fix things. You know, it's and I'm not saying that's the right thing. I'm just saying that is like where things are. Free to play for the pickle. So we do know that next month, the free to play path of the pickle will include or be included in the new territory season 1 that is starting in a couple weeks. So, been seeing quite a few players take a leave of absence from the game. Any thoughts? I mean, nothing negative, David, because I'll be honest, this happens all the time. And I always tell people, like, you got to remember how many new players they're adding to the game, right? You know, they're still launching servers and have thousands of people on them. And sure, old players are leaving, but they're also adding in a lot of new ones. So, who are the new owners, by the way? The new owners that bought the game last year is Savvy Games, which is a private investment firm out of Saudi Arabia. Private investment firm out of Saudi Arabia. And they bought them. I assume it went through. I mean, it was a big news, you know, what, 8 months ago? I assume it went through. It was like a $4.8 billion acquisition. But yeah. Don't make much money on new players. New players are going to buy G6 ships. They'd make a lot of money on new players, Brett. How do I know? Because I've been helping a lot of new players on these new servers get into the VIP Discord, which is invite only based on spending. Let me tell you, man, you don't think it, Brett, but people are spending a ridiculous amount of money on these new servers. I'm just being honest. They are. I'm not judging anybody for what they're spending. I'm just saying it definitely is a lot of spending on these new servers. So it's odd some people told Phil Freeman isn't an issue from reading some other players, but I feel Freeman is a huge part of the problem. Sticker is captain. She's insanely strong. I agree with you, Monkey. I agree with you. I agree with you. So. All right, we're going to send my ships back over here. We did actually win since I put in the right crew. Wasn't using any buffs or anything for my piercing stuff and all, but just enough to score because we need to get our refineries turned in. And I still got to do Anomalous Phenomenon. Y'all don't let me forget Anomalous Phenomenon. So, how much are we wanting to spend for an invite to that Discord? I mean, a significant amount. Depends on what you consider significant, but people that are in there are 5 digits in at least. You know, it depends on the time frame we're talking as well. So, yeah, Adrian, we love surveys here, man. Only way to get feedback to Scopely that's actually from the players, and we actually know what the numbers are, because Scopely never reveals the information of their own surveys. You know, which I think would be nice. Like, hey, you did a survey. Now tell us what people said. But we'll see. We shall see. I have a question on one officers. Technically, the officers are good. They need an A, but really should be an F for they're too good. Eric, I actually think that that's a logical thought process. And if you label it as that, I won't have any issue with it. So I would say do it. List it like that, and I will pass along that feedback depending on, you know, how many people have a similar paradigm. Right? I'm glad to pass on whatever the feedback is. Even if we have a month where, like, hey, Rev thought this was going to be terrible, y'all enjoyed it, I'll still say, hey, the players enjoyed it and Rev was wrong. So whichever way it goes. E-news on the next arc. What news are you looking for, Mr. Fox? We know territories are going to be a big part of this upcoming month. We know it's going to continue with lower decks. What specifically are you hoping to glean / learn? Why don't they create a server just for the big spenders so the rest of us have balance? Simple, GEC. Because if you had a server where everybody was a big spender, then not everybody on that server is a big spender. As within every area of life, there are tiers and call, a class pyramid, whatever you want to talk about, that if you put a mega whale with other whales, they're still going to have one that rises to the top. Thus meaning that others who were going to spend don't spend as much as they would in an environment where they're hanging out with other folks who maybe just buy a battle pass or are completely free to play. There is a lot of thought gone into the server sizes and the structures of these servers here in Star Trek Fleet Command to try to find the optimal range of spending for everybody, mid spenders and high-end spenders. They don't want too many high spenders on a server, but they also want there to be a certain amount. Hence why mergers can happen when populations drop low, including the populations of spenders. So, yeah, that is why. They don't want to have just a server of all the whales and then a server of nothing but free to play. It's designed to be all mixed in together. So, Lower Decks Part 2, wonder if they're going to, if we're getting Admiral Daddy. Some people are not going to know what you're referring to, but yes, maybe Draken, that'd be really cool. I know a lot of people probably haven't watched Star Trek Lower Decks, but strongly encourage you to if you haven't. I really enjoy it with a ton of great Star Trek lore in it. I'm going to go over here with my Monavine real quick. I need to pull this one, and then this is why I'm auto grinding right now, because I am short on pulling from my active net exchange. Forbidden Tech, we're going to go do all these pulls real quick. Sucks for us on server 61 where all the whales just congregate into a single alliance. I will say that, and I've talked to high levels about this before, for the value, or value not the right word, for the life of a server, generally the best value is to have those spenders at least mixed up a little bit so that everybody is not congregating into one spot. So there's a little bit of parity, right? Because if you're a high level, you want to fight somebody equal to you. And if you don't have anybody equal to you, then the only choice you have is to punch down. So a lot of servers, I can attribute some of their life to being more balanced in the top end. Even if it's 60% is in server number 1, and then the other 40 is split between 2 and 3, there's still a little bit of a balance there. Whereas if everybody goes super top heavy at the top, then you lose all that parity. So you notice on a lot of healthy servers, shout out to 16, 20, 17, that not everybody is front loaded in one alliance. Like server 16 has the strongest individual alliance in the game, yet they're not the only alliance. Dragon's not the only alliance that's that strong. EM Squared's a very well known and big alliance. Not everybody's actually in that one on server 17. And same thing with IA on server 20. Even though IA is big, it's the second biggest one in the game, there's still level 60s and high levels over in Epic. So that balance can be very important for a server's longevity, for all players to kind of be moved out a little bit. Never watched Lower Decks until they brought them in the game. Now you love it. I'm glad you do, man, because I'm a huge fan of Lower Decks. Absolutely huge fan. So, I'm not expecting Lower Decks to last to the end of the year. Wonder if next month is the last month, so we get another 2-month arc. We'll have to wait and see, Kevin. We'll have to wait and see. If they did it as a 2-month arc, that means that you would wrap up September, October, but that then only leaves November and December. If you wanted to end the year on an arc run, or you could end it in the January month and have a Christmas event store and then a event store for like the overall group, one rung down. But we'll have to wait and see how they end up playing that, right? Want to have portable repair bot that we can earn instead of wasting time back and forth. Alex, this has actually been brought up. We talked about specialty ships. The Talios is technically like a military style specialty ship, and then you got the Cerritos and the Titan, which are kind of like explorer / pure support ships. Talked about having one that activated in a repair role or operated in a repair role, which I think is a really neat idea. And so far, obviously, that's not happened, but I think that's a great idea. What is the difference between the prime efficient ship parts and prime ship parts efficiency? Which one you get at level 45? One is focusing on ship parts, and the other is, if you're talking about the one I think you are, is focusing on the ore, crystal, everything else aspects. If you're talking about both of them in the station tree, I'll show you which ones we're looking at. So here is, where's it at? There we go. So here's prime efficient ship parts, increases the base cost of ship parts, which to me, this is the more valuable of the two, but they're both very valuable. And then prime efficient ship engineering is titanium, dilithium, crystal, gas, ore. reducing the cost of those. I think the ship parts one is more important because it is the bigger of the bottlenecks, but both of them are, I mean, they're arguably the most valuable primes in the game. And they also are very expensive and they scale up pretty high. But, yeah. Whew. Great all questions, y'all. Appreciate the question. JT, good to see you. Welcome on in. If y'all haven't already, been sharing it throughout the day. In the chat, you'll see me dropping a link to the survey that we're doing for this month. Y'all can go ahead and grade it. I would strongly recommend and strongly ask, humbly ask, that y'all get y'all's alliance to participate. I say it all the time to the long-time supporters. Make it a requirement for your alliance to do these surveys because I want y'all's opinion to be represented. I want y'all's opinion out there. I want y'all to be able to, if you want to gripe at the overlords, I want you to gripe. If you want to say positive, say positive. So for example, I personally believe that this month, funny enough, was a better month in terms of communication. I mean, that doesn't fix all the problems, but I do think they did a better job with communication this month. I mean, stability this month was better than last month, but that's a low bar. I mean, I do want to still have some objectively, you know, I don't want to be burned the entire month, right? So I do want to see if y'all thought there was anything good that could happen. Private says gaming is a complete stat squish. If anyone played World of Warcraft, their numbers got out of control and they brought everything back down. I agree with you, Private. Absolutely. That is actually one thing that I would love to see done. And, you know, I do want to really push that. For anybody out there that is frustrated, your frustrations are valid. I mean, I get it. And you're not in the wrong there. I will also add to that this game is a lot of fun and a lot of people enjoy it and a lot of people are joining up and having a great time. So I don't think the game is anywhere near its shelf life. Like, I don't think the game is anywhere near being put on a shelf and it's done. Do I think that it's heading in a negative direction these past couple months? Absolutely. And do I think that that negative direction is so bad it could be making the game plateau to where it's going to start downhilling? Yes, I believe that too. But at the same time, this game is a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. And it's also one of the times that, like, I get frustrated at, like, where I'm at on this, you know, in my high level accounts. I enjoy just starting over and enjoying the game at that, you know, more of a basic level. So wherever you're at, I just hope that you're having fun with the community because the community is the only thing that makes this game as amazing as it is anyway. And that's all I can really hope is to try to keep entertaining and informing, and we all have a great time with our friends that we've made. This prime for materials above 3 must be amazing. What you talking about, Anderson? Which one? Kevin says, don't know about that stability part. Inhale to restart multiple times an hour on Android because of the spinning wheel. See, this month I've been trying to use my phone more because people have been complaining about a lot of them. And I had a really stable experience on my phone this month compared to last month, which was awful. I would say it's better, but again, this is person by person. So if it was bad for you, like if you had really bad stability problems, then go in there and say in the form, remember, we're starting our survey, go in and say, hey, stability was terrible. And to give you an example, because I'm curious, those who have done the survey so far, which isn't a ton of people yet, 19% of people gave it an F and 12% of people gave it a D. And while those numbers aren't exactly great numbers, that's significantly better than what we've had recently. And so far, 6% of people gave it an A and 25% of people gave stability a B. That's actually an improvement. I mean, it's sad. Everything should be an A, but that's an improvement in the recent months. So make sure you get your opinions out there. Crit damage and crit chance need to move to an efficiency formula. 100% chance at 700% damage is just dumb. Yeah, I mean, when you can do a multiplier of literally times 7 after damage calculation, and then you can go do it again with isolytics, which I know is what, you know, Carissa and Pseudo and everybody else is kind of griping about. It's just ridiculous, right? It's absolutely nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Server 10 crashes all the time. My S21 a lot less often. See, I never have, or I always say never, I rarely have crashes on my PC client, and I basically never have problems on my phone, though last month it was rough. And I don't have an iPhone, though, but I do try to really say, hey, everybody check them out. Everybody find out that balance. Let me know what you see, and tell me. I really want to see what those numbers end up showing. I really do. You have an S10 Plus as well? Yeah, hey, again, if y'all have a specific device, because there are specific device issues that come through every month, put that in the survey and I will pass it along. And if I start seeing, like when we go through our word searches and I start seeing certain phones and devices, I can be like, hey, overlords, need you to key in on this. This is what players are saying is a significant issue for this type of device. And we've done that before, right? You know, I've worked with the overlords in the past where we had big issues and they said, hey, please go gather specific data on the phone. And I'll also add real quick that I know that our customer support experience in this game is not good, right? It's not glowing. That said, one thing that happens when you create a ticket with customer support is they take the information that you have for your device. They find out what type of device it is, what operating system it is on. So even if you're not getting the answer from customer support that you want, it is still collecting important data for stability issues. So, yeah. At any point, do you feel defeated doing these surveys? Do you feel they have an impact given Scopely's actions last few months especially? Do I personally feel defeated? I mean, yes and no. I would say that y'all definitely know that I'm always trying to fight for certain things, trying to make certain things happen. So obviously when things aren't going how I hope they are with my feedback, it can be deflating. But at the same time, I know that I have, with the power of the players, impacted more in this game than would have happened without them. And whether they bring about 10% improvement or 80% improvement, they're still bringing forth improvement. And I will never take that as a negative. Now, as soon as my lines of communication are cut, as soon as what I say and my community's voice no longer matters, then I will stop doing them. But as of now, even if it's little changes or big changes, they are still taking this information so I don't write it off. And at this point in the game, I'll take a 10% improvement. I'll take a 5% improvement. Do I want 100% improvement? You're damn right. In fact, I want 1,000% efficiency improvement. But I will also never be upset about it because important things have happened because of those surveys. And with that, it's tough to get too demoralized. I still hate when months are bad. I hated that last month was bad, right? And I actually was talking to Archduke. I didn't even give Archduke's last month's numbers until much later than normal. You know, I'm not looking forward to the survey results this month. You know why? Because here's what happens when we have a negative month. One, people don't do the surveys as much. People, when they get mad at the content, they don't come to the YouTube channel. They don't come to Rev's Discord. They don't come to see me on Twitch. They're upset at the game, so they don't do surveys. And then when they do them, it's all negative. And it gets tiring, you know, reading through a ton of negativity, even if the negativity is valid. So I don't like these months, but at the same time, I'm not discouraged in not wanting to do them, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? And thank you, Slag, for doing the survey. Greatly, greatly appreciated. You are incredible. You're incredible. I don't want to send that all the way back. We should do this one. See, I should have brought like the Cerritos and gotten some good buffs in here, but I didn't. Where's the survey? I've been sharing it throughout the stream, David. Thank you. I appreciate you. And y'all feel free to share it out. Tenji says, the stability has been terrible. I have an S22. Have to restart multiple times in a session. Can't zoom in or out. Can't select systems, etc. Hey, man, like I said, put it in the feedback form so I can at least try to hunt those down. And make sure you make at least one ticket when those problems happen. I know the customer support system in Star Trek Fleet Command is not good, and I'm not saying it is, but those tickets record your information, and it's a lot easier to tell the overlords that there's a problem or go to game design about a problem if we can pinpoint, hey, iPhone 15 users are really struggling. You've got to fix it. You know, I had somebody reach out to me yesterday about an iPhone issue where the new update doesn't account for the iPhone's like ear speaker and everything. So you can't actually activate some buttons. So like the UI needs to be redone to account for that. And that's the type of feedback that Scopely needs to hear to make y'all's experience better. GEC said I did the Scopely survey, and it does seem that they take the input of content creators into account. Like I said, GEC, I don't know how new you are, but I've worked with them for going on 5 years now. I've been an official NDA content creator for about 4 years. Now, granted, I did have, I was kicked off the NDA team for calling them out on some BS before. But generally speaking, I've worked with them hand in hand for years. I've gotten to work with people in upper management, low management, live ops, game design, well over a dozen community managers at this point. And that's exciting. But at the same time, it only matters if we start seeing results. So I'm gonna go ahead and recall these and then repair this. And we're gonna go do our disco real quick. Do our disco. Sergeant survey, I feel like the officer rubric is a trick question. While they are must-haves, they are egregious. So the thing private is the survey is the exact same thing every month. And I can definitely see why it's a trick question. And I would say just go with your gut. Like if your gut says these officers are great, I want to give this an A. Or if your gut says these are horrible for the game, I want to give them an F. Go with your gut and grade with your gut. Grade with your gut. Grade with your gut. iOS 17 makes it laggy. I hear you, Mike. I hear you. ILA says F. ILA, put it in the survey and share it out with your Alliance. Make sure your Alliance does it, because the more people, just because to build on Private's question earlier, the more people that participate in the stuff that we're doing, the more response we can get. So what I mean by that is when y'all comment on the YouTube videos, Scopely sees that. When y'all like the YouTube videos, they see that. When y'all participate in the surveys, they see that. And the fact that we'll have 1,000 to 2,000 people every month do a survey, they have to recognize that. So Amber says these officers are too great, so an F. And see, that's where I would tend to align, right? I think the officers, them being good is not the issue. It's there's no balance, right? And even with what me and DJ have seen coming up in the future, we're not excited about that either because of the balance issue. And it's completely okay to say, hey, these officers are great to have, but they're bad for the game. Absolutely great. Discovered your videos and watched a lot of them. Thanks for the good advice. Well, you're welcome, Amsterdam, and thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. I hope you're having an amazing rest of your weekend. And yeah, it's going to be a busy week for us, y'all. And remember, there are 5 Tuesdays in October, which usually means we have a 2-week break. So we should have a 2-week break this go around. Maybe. Mike says, my iOS 17 on a brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max is fine. What's the difference between me and Mike above? We need to submit tickets so they can figure it out going through our data. I agree with that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you still think that the mega ship primes are great to have, but terrible for the game? Yes and no. I think that the reason I have such a big issue with the new primes is, one, I hate scaling primes. Like, I hate the idea of a prime that you buy 6 times. I do. But beyond that, I actually do like them more now because we fought really hard. And by the way, we're talking about things that feedback can provide. Go over to your field training. There's now a USS Voyager path to Dolomite. Now, is it an easy path? I'm not saying it's an easy path. I'm 8.5% done with my second run here, the Trade Commerce Stadiums, which is the hardest one. I'm not saying it's an easy path, but it is there. So because of that, I was able to, or I believe in them more. Like, I'm not as angry about them as I was before. I think it's reasonable to have that early path there and then work on more down the road. That made it better. So, an odd drop midstream. Nothing on my end. Hopefully it's all good. Any news on 7.9 sourcing? Negative. Running on an iPad Pro M1 chip, so it's not a processor issue. It's blazingly fast usually. So Mike, again, it's not just about how fast something is. There's an optimization process for a lot of this hardware, and it could be very well that there's horrible optimization from this game to the hardware that you're running on that OS. I'm not saying it's not a problem that should be fixed. It absolutely should be fixed. I'm simply saying that it's not as simple as you have the most up-to-date, best equipment if that equipment is not set up to run this game, or vice versa. The game's not perfectly set up for that. Survey done. They will be lucky to get a D out of this one. We'll see, David. I'm very curious. To see if my frustrations were shared by the players, or if maybe I was, thinking a little bit too much into things. We've had a handful of y'all who have done it so far. Definitely gonna need a lot more between, the next few days to get where we're going. But like, for example, 33% of people so far have given these officers an F, but at the same time, 24% have given them an A. So that definitely is a bigger split than I expected. I mean, it's very early on. Like, I always want to reward people who come participate in the live streams, because number one, y'all help me view my own situation, like in game, and if y'all help me see where most players are. And then two, I mean, the fact that you hang out on a Sunday night, y'all should be able to get access to stuff early. I mean, that just makes sense to me. I don't put a paywall on it. Here you go. So, yeah, I'm curious there. And then let's see, Starship research trees. Now, this is one that's weird for me. So far, people have given the Starship Tree research extension really negative grades in this survey. I tend to think that that's actually one of the better things that happened this month. Now, I realize that not everybody has the Gilded Pickle, right? The Gilded Pickle's free-to-play path is next month, right? But let's talk about the value of that Starship extension. It's actually really good. So I think this is where you see some of that frustration for the month bleeding over. Because if you actually go over here, again, not everybody can get this until they get the Gilded Pickle. But for example, increasing the amount of rare Armada loot you get. This is great, especially for you needing those ACCs. Epic Armada. That's actually Really useful. I like that. Pure station reinforcement, another cost efficiency. I like this one. It's not expensive to research because it's all geos, right? I love the increase of some of these in terms of speed, the isolytic increases for your ships. I think this is good research. I think it's good research. Another parts efficiency for your broken parts. I don't think it's A+ great, but I do think it's good. But you can see a lot of people frustrated with the overall month, thus resulting in some of these lower scores. Is Scopa going to do anything with the extra useless 1.2 million ship blueprints? Not that I'm aware of, no. It's we made a video on it last year and we brought it up. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Mike. I think that the Gilded Pickles research is great. Now, I wouldn't necessarily go like make the month a great month because of it, but I do think that was really good. I think the Gilded Pickle research is one of the more positive things about this month. And for those curious, the Gilded Pickle has a 30% F grade so far. And only a 1.9% A grade. Man, that's heavy. Heavy. Fallout 4, for example, can't use half the cores on my PC. Yeah, that's Bethesda. Great stories, mid-tier graphics, and terrible optimization. And yet I love Bethesda games. Absolutely love Bethesda games. So. You think the ops lock on the research is the drawback? I can see that, Amber. I can definitely see that logic. Definitely see that logic. The loot ship itself, I find a big drag to daily play. Yeah, I mean, it's just another loop, right? I honestly don't think that the Gilded Pickles loop is very complicated or anything. It's just, it's more loop into us already doing so many loops in Star Trek Fleet Command. It just gets tiring, right? It gets tiring. Dragon says it's kind of like Bethesda games. You can have a god system of Fallout 3 will take hits on frame rate and not use all available cores because its software was not set up to properly use newer cards. And this is where we get into the optimization argument, because if you're out there with a brand new iPad, you've got the best that you can have. But if Scopely has not optimized their game to play with your device, then all that great equipment can run really poor. Really poor. So, happy note, you pre-order Star Trek Infinite. Nice. Yeah, I still need to get back to them about October 1st. I'm sorry, October 6th. My plan is to show y'all a little early preview of Star Trek Infinite on my birthday stream. But we'll see. Thank you, Scott, for doing the survey. Appreciate it. When's Infinite coming out? October 12th is the launch date for Star Trek Infinite. I'll be working with that game and still Star Trek Fleet Command. I'm not going anywhere. But I'll be working on 2 Star Trek games as an NDA content creator. Really excited about. Infinite, a different strategy style game than Star Trek Fleet Command it's very different. But I'm still really excited about, being in that process with y'all. I'm actually going to swap this over to this. Okay. I don't have a problem with the Pickles loop, seeing as they can be done automatically when you aren't playing. Sending a ship out to be auto-tagged is no different than sending a miner to mine. I mean, yes and no, Max. I would also say, or I'd also ask you, Max, hey, how many docks do you have? The reason I ask that is, you are right, but what about a pure free-to-play? They're going to get the pickle in a month, and they're stuck at 5 docks. We need more docks in this game, whether you're a spender or free-to-play. We're running out. And even though the grind time of the Gilded Pickle might not take a lot, if you're needing to catch up, like right now, my Gilded Pickle gets hit at night because I'm at war. And I expect it to get hit at night. I'm not like griping. I'm not mad that they come and hit me. But because it gets hit at night, I struggle to finish that daily with the auto grinding. And that means that I have to tie up a dock all day. Now, this is one of the few things that, a war can kind of get with me or get to me with, because this is a new mechanic, so everybody's looking for it. And I'm sure eventually it'll get easier again. But when you have limited docks, it sucks to just have that sitting there out there that you can't use it. And even though you can put a throwaway crew on it, we've talked about the strategies of using the Gilded Pickle. What a lot of players will do is they don't even put their best hostile grinding crew on it. Like mine's just got Pipe Moreau Cath, and they lay it out there. It's still eating up a dock. You can't relocate your base. If you have officers out, you can't upgrade them. And it has to sit out there and run through its paces. And then what can happen too is, well, what if you're out there and somebody kills your chaser? Well, damn, now you're just sitting out there doing nothing with a dock tied up. So it's not that it's a terrible mechanic. I just think that there still needs to be more done to this game that get rid of the older loops. I wouldn't have a problem if the only loops I was doing today were X-Borg, Voyager, Gilded Pickle, and my Dominion. But I still have other things to do. I still have rep grinding that needs to be done. I still have to do my dailies that don't get counted for Xborg. There's a lot. I still have to do a lot of mining stuff. I mean, we still get told to do eclipse like several times a month. There's just too many old grinds that are still being used heavily in the game, as well as new ones getting added on top. So I've said it before, like if the Gilded Pickle had come out like 2 years ago, I really wouldn't have almost any issue with it, except that its spawn path wasn't announced free to play immediately. I really don't have a major issue with what the Gilded Pickle does or its purpose. It can be very useful to players, and I think that free to play, especially 6 months from now, we'll be talking very highly about the Gilded Pickle. I really do. I feel like 6 months from now, people are going to be saying very nice things about the Gilded Pickle. But it's still another loot. It's still another grind, and it's still more to do. And anytime you have that early on, unless you invest heavily, it's a pain. Hooper says the Starbase should have an extra dock for all Alliance members. I agree. Love that. I think that'd be great. Just like I want there to be a repair support ship. I want there to be the ability to repair, or at least, you know, see systems that my Alliance is in. The Fog of War system is getting annoying as we get deeper and deeper into the game, constantly having to deal with this Fog of War system. And I'm not inherently against Fog of War, but I do think that we just overuse it so much in Star Trek Fleet Command. Anyway, do you think the game will still be around in 6 months? I think the game will still be around in 3 years. I don't think it has any worry about shutting down in 6 months, TJ. None at all. None at all. The Pickle loop is very hands-off compared to other loops. Even Voyager requires more work. Well, Voyager as a loop requires like the most of any of the new loops. Voyager is the loopiest of the loops. But I also don't want, like, I'm very careful because I never want to word something that makes it sound like I'm okay with like any loops being added right now, because I'm not. I will say, yeah, the Pickle is not a bad loop in terms of it's not as time intensive as others, but it's still an annoying loop. It's still an annoying loop. I need to upgrade Cisco. How do you find to play all these games? I'm a full-time content creator. I've been a full-time content creator for going on 4 years now. November will be 4 years between Star Trek Fleet Command, now about to be Star Trek Infinite. Used to do Eve Echoes. I mean, we've done War Thunder. We've done a bunch of games, and we stay busy. So it's all because of amazing people like you who watch the channel, who like, who comment, who drop tips, who buy merch. Greatly appreciate all of y'all who make the dream happen. I hate how in this current mass spin SLB, even if you win first and complete the SMS, you still don't have enough Captain Freeman tokens for a full unlock. The only way to do the full unlock this month was to buy the battle pass. And that was by design and by plan by the Overlords. By design and by plan by the Overlords. So, yay. All right, we got to do that in 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and do some more of these. Even though I am officially at tier 7 with a lot of my stuff. Officially at tier 7, so I can't really go any farther. Fog of War is, in my opinion, the biggest limiting factor to war, so most of the servers starting to have 40+. I do think there's a lot more negatives to Fog of War than positives at this point in the game. Just got to get Scopely to agree to that, right? The Scopely seems to enjoy it. We'll go ahead and recall that. Then we got to go do our Borg run for today. Hope they track the data and saw a boom in the 20-hour battle pass unlock for the officer and do it some more. I hope not, Private. My actual hope is that they had less sales this month so they don't continue to be rewarded for these practices and these complete game resetting officer styles. That's the only, I said this at the beginning of the month. The whole Freeman unlock thing, you can call it a red herring, right? Like it was just bait. It's the carrot underneath the box to get you into the trap. Because a tier 1 Freeman is not enough to beat people who actually monetarily invested into Freeman. The only people that let you beat are free to play. And it gives you a taste of what these new crews are going to be and what they are, but it doesn't let you take full advantage of them. So the whole idea is we're going to give you a taste for $20, but realistically, you need to spend hundreds to stay effective. So I actually hate this style this month. Absolutely hate it. That's just my opinion. My opinion. Fog of War is a pain for D-Space Armadas. Yeah, it's also a pain for if you want to run the ugly Borg runs. It's a pain for a lot of things. But speaking of, I think I can actually do a small pull on, yeah, I can do a little pull here for this one. There we go. There you go. The attack, Dow Scouts don't trigger skills drop. What you talking about, buddy? What you talking about? You talking about hitting the sentries? Yeah, I know they won't drop my shields. The only thing that drops shields is if I go after these guys. So, yeah, that's a decent pull, Roboski. That's a decent one. I just upgraded my Court of Q's to level 25. Any idea approximately what ship powers? Remember, ship power don't mean crap, TJ. Why are you always asking about ship power? You know it doesn't mean anything. It's all about officers. Who you got? Who you got? Because if you've got a 50 million power pylum, but don't have Hue below decks, you can get your butt whooped. If you have Hue below decks, you can punch up significantly higher than what you were doing previously. So like, here's my 2-star trials. 3-star, when I do have them, is going to be a big jump. But if I didn't have Hue, I wouldn't even be able to do them. So it depends on officers, not ship power level. Mine's only 19 though, so way to brag about being higher level than Ref. Congratulations. So I will be taking it to 20 here in just a second since we need to do that. We're going to speed this up. Speed this up real quick. Manage, assign, we'll swap. We'll go do our Q's trials and our freebooters while we're sitting here. 90% of what I've bought over the last 4 years is irrelevant today due to various reasons. Yeah, Josh. Now, I will say that there's some things I think that's okay. Like if you bought something 2 or 3 years ago, I think that's okay for it to become irrelevant now. If you bought something 6 months ago and it's irrelevant now, or 2 months ago and it's irrelevant now, I think that really sucks. You know, like the FTs, right? Like some of the primes that came out before the new multi-layer primes did. But yeah, I mean, I completely get that. It's definitely frustrating, right? The game has felt more like work these last few months. I'm hoping they reduce the grind. Same. You know, and this is why I've chosen, y'all see this in my gameplay, I don't do all of the grinds anymore. Like I don't do, like, there are gonna be days I miss summons, right? And like when I had my internet issues this week with Comcast, yay Comcast, I didn't finish my battle pass. I finished it now, but I'm gonna miss the overflow, but I'm not fretting about it. I'm not worried about it at all. And like, there's just this mentality I've adopted where I no longer let Scopely control what my gameplay looks like, what my day looks like. And I enjoy Star Trek Fleet Command so much. If you're wondering, Rev, how the hell do you still enjoy it after all these problems? Because Scopely doesn't determine what I do in the game anymore. Y'all determine what I do in the game. My fun, what I want to go after determines what I do in the game. And I finally broke FOMO. That fear of missing out no longer bothers me. So if all the other players can get to that point, maybe they can experience what I'm experiencing. But that's why you ask, and I'm over here like not freaking out. That's why. That's why. How do you train your brain to think that way? For me, Sheriff, the realization was simple. I changed what my goals were because it can't come from a defeated attitude of, well, I'll never be good. Because if that's the case, then why do you play the game at all? It came to changing what my goals were centered around. Remember I'm talking about I want to be the strongest 46 in the game and stuff, little things like that. Because the truth is, and this is why fear of missing out is stupid. Because the truth is, unless you are listening to the sound of my voice, and if you qualify in this statement, then I'm not talking to you and you're completely okay. But if you're listening to the sound of my voice, and wait, I just swapped the wrong ship. If you're listening to the sound of my voice and you are not a heavy spender, you will never be a top powered player in this game, ever. There is nothing you can do, okay? There's nothing you can do without spending 5 digits a year to be in the upper echelon of players in Star Trek Fleet Command. So if your goal is to get better so that you can be at the top, it's a fruitless endeavor. But what's not a fruitless endeavor is working to be the best 46, working to be the best on your server in resources rated, working to be, the best in your alliance, in training. There's a litany of things that you can do, right? You just got to get to that point where you acknowledge to yourself what you're wanting to do and what you will do. So that's, I think, the big thing for me was just finally letting it sink in that all this I'm doing, money I'm spending, Scopely giving me a battle pass every month, and I'm still not a top 100 player on my server because I have a heavy spend server. Stop letting that be your goal. Simply focus on goals that you set, things you want. Like for me, this year has been one of the most fun years I've ever had in Star Trek Fleet Command. You know why? Because I made grinds and I unlocked ships. I unlocked my own USS Kelvin, Hydra, Valdor, Katinga, Pylum, Coronar. I got 6 non-specialty ships this year because I set new goals and I just decided to have fun for me. And I kick butt in armadas. I'm one of the strongest players in my level in the entire game. I'm having fun. Just have fun. That was the big shift for me. And now if I spend money, it's because I want to spend money, right? And that's why, like, I love that I can do my dailies in 5 minutes. Like, I just go do my freebooters and I'm done. So level 38 plus, you have a lot more ability to make that choice if you want to. It just all comes back to where you kind of place yourself. What's up, Draco? Good to see you. So, the Scopely adds something to the game to unlock older avatars or frames. They actually did something this month, Marcine, specifically for that. This month, they actually did an event to help people unlock frames and avatars. And I had to tell people, there are people actually asking for this, like Marcine, who actually want to collect some of these really cool things. So they did one this month, and the plan is to do more things like that. So, be a top player when I win the lottery. Even if I won the lottery, I probably wouldn't try to be a top player. But you're sitting at 47, working on being the best of my alliance for knowledge on loops. Getting to teach the 58s and 60s by knowing things they are clueless on is kind of fun. I agree. I love that aspect. Yeah, JJ, I'll tell you, man. I have so many friends that are high spenders who either slowed up spending completely or they slowed spending and then started another account on like a newer server and don't spend as much and they enjoy the game more. And see, that's the tricky thing with spending. Spending can help you enjoy something in Star Trek Fleet Command, but if you get caught into spending because you have to, you're not going to enjoy it. But as soon as you can reach a point where you're only spending because you want to spend, like maybe you, instead of buying the Galactic Armada pack to get Hugh, maybe you as a spender bought the Galactic Armada pack because you wanted to help your players on a new server enjoy Armadas for the first time, or do their first epics, or help pick up the low level guys. You know, you did it for community reasons. You probably enjoyed that more than doing it just to take Hugh to tier 3. And you spent $200 on Galactic Armada packs to go do that. You know, whatever your reasons are, I think that's the big thing, is like helping people refine the fun has been a big thing for me this year. It's also why when months like this happen, sure, I'm mad. Sure, I'll go after Scopely. Sure, I properly burn them. Like I don't feel like I pulled any punches this past month, but I also still sit here and go, yeah, I enjoy the game. Craig says, I quit spending at 49. I have much more fun now, and you're at level 54. I remember when Craig was talking to me hardcore about just leaving the game completely. He's just gone. Not going to talk to me. Gone from Huck, everybody. And I'm glad that he ended up saying, and that was a big thing, is you have to just get rid of that FOMO. Don't let it get you. Consider abandoning my Op 60 account and restart for that reason. I have quite a few friends who have done that. You know, my highest level account is in the upper 50s, right? The one that I play on. That is the account that I enjoy the absolute least, because since I'm not spending money on it, my ability to do anything is greatly limited. So I'm just kind of floating around doing dailies. And the account that I enjoy the most in terms of like interacting with the community is really close between 97, where I'm a level 14, and server 20, where I'm level 46. And it all comes back to the people you're hanging out with. That's truly where the fun is in this game. And I enjoy spending if I'm going to actually get something that's going to make my game experience with my friends more fun. So the social aspect of the game is also a big thing. Getting into a good alliance makes the game that much better. Absolutely. I mean, server 97 and server 20, both alliances I'm in, we have Discord chat rooms. Everybody's talking, goofing, hanging out, telling jokes in the AC, going out, organizing raids. That's so much fun, man. I mean, in my opinion, that's one of the most fun parts of this game. Is there any way that Scopely can add the USS Excelsior, even if it would be modified lower decks version? I think, Harry, at some point you're going to see that ship in the game. Scopely has access to basically every property that is Star Trek. So they're working through, going through all the things. And every now and then, you know, the overlords over at Paramount say, hey, we got a new show coming out. Really, it'd be nice if you meshed up your content. But yeah. ILA, man, I would encourage you, especially if you maybe, depends on what you're looking for, but hell, you're more than welcome to come join us on server 97. Like, come join the server, meet all the goofy people, see what's going on. I mean, that server's a couple months old, but it's about to ascend to 40 plus next Friday. Or if you want a brand new server, server 700-ish just launched here pretty recently. So yeah, Angels of Sky just popped finally. Nice, Sam. Nice. Very nice. I'm at 49 as well, and have been trying to break the cycle and pretty much stop spending, except for things I want, like the BP. Yeah, breaking the cycle isn't easy. It's not easy, Sheriff. But hey, I can tell you to do what I had a spender friend do. He punished himself. I'm just telling you, this is a real thing. It really happened. Their server can confirm it. I'm not doing it just to shield myself, although I typically shield myself once an hour, so this is the shield moment. Hey, every time you get tempted to spend with Scopely, send me $20. If you still have enough money, like you're still happy to keep spending, go buy your pack. Had somebody used to do that with a server. It was like, what, 49 he was on? Shout out to Frog of War. Just curb himself. Every time he thought about it, he sent me 20 bucks, right? So up to you. Halfway joking. Appreciate you. We are still trying to finish this month where I'm spending money on my kids' daycare, school cost, and my son's medication. Appreciate all of y'all who support the channel. You're all amazing. It's never required, but it is heckin' appreciated because I have 3 kids and this is what I do to support them. So appreciate y'all. All right. Looking to stop spending because I have to is getting annoying. Exactly. I say it all the time. And I teach this as much as I can to new server spenders because I really try to make sure. Because look, let's just keep it real here. Let's be honest. I have a vested interest for this game to keep going, right? So one thing that I do on new servers, like I did on 97, and I've joined the servers for like 101 and 98, etc., is I try to teach efficient spending because there are some things that you can spend in this game that you just regret a week later. And I hate people to feel that feeling. I don't want you to feel regret for you spending $100, $500, or $1,000, right? Or even more. And some people, like we're talking about forbidden technologies, some people spent 10 plus grand into those and now heavily regret it. So there's an aspect of that too, because you enjoy spending when you're spending because you want to, just like in real life. Like if you want to go out and buy you a new suit, you feel better about it than if you have to go buy a new suit because work told you to. So anybody that I can try to help get into that mindset of spending because they want to, not because they have to, I'll try to do. Filled out the survey. Thanks for running it. Shout out to the mission writers this art. Hey, I thought that was also great. Thank you for mentioning it, Eli. And for those who want to help with the survey, right there in the comments section of the chat, been sharing it the entire stream. And we'll also have that on Discord and everything tomorrow. So, yeah. 30K in dental bills kept me from spending beyond the gilded pickle this month. God, it sounds like my son and his medication stuff. But hey, we got those bills, right? It happens. Happens to the best of us. Happens to the best of us. So, not sure if you watch it, but if so, what do you think about Tibbs' recent Dear Scopa video asking for improvements for the game? I haven't seen it, TJ. Haven't seen it. Number 1 holodeck chapter, seriously, 20 bucks for one part. I mean, I would never buy for a holodeck mission set, but that's me. I would never do that. And at this point, I've gotten so many of those currencies saved up, I wouldn't never really have to. I've got so much saved up that I haven't actually spent in the holodeck. So, Greg says spending day in 2 months is worthless. There are some spins, thankfully, that aren't worthless, and there's some that are. I mean, there are a couple of primes that exist now that are a complete waste of $100. They still charge $100 for. I mean, I've run into people on the new servers buying prime officers, right? And I've had to like, hey, you don't have to do this. Try to prevent people from that. So, what ops is better to camp at, 46 or 47? Either, honestly. I mean, there's nothing wrong going 47. There were actually a couple of bonuses to it, but I've been happy sitting here at 46 too. I don't think there's a negative answer to either one. You love at 35. I've only bought Syndicate Primes and then the BP each month during ARCs. Nice, Wayne. Nice. You have like 8,500 of the old holo currency saved up. Yeah, we got collections of some old currencies, don't we? When this game does finally shut down, I want to count how many currencies I have. When this game does shut down, whenever that is, I want to see how many currencies am I sitting on from all these ARCs and all these years of playing. You're going to level up G5 on this account when G6 rolls out. Remember, the main account that y'all see, while not my highest level, this is the main, and I always try to keep it where the most players are. You know, most players are between the levels of 39 and 49-ish now. Actually, a little bit lower than that, but still. We ran some numbers on where the players were last month. And I don't want to level too far past them, right? And I also will add, I hate G5 right now. My experience of playing in G5 where I currently play it is absolutely abysmal. So I'm in no rush to get there. You know, the only thing I'm excited about getting in G5 for this account is when I'll have the Vorchal in this account. But I'm in no rush to go up and do it. No rush at all. Yeah. It's usable, but none of those missions seem worth it. They're really not. I mean, you can do the missions just to do them if you enjoy stories. Some of the stories are okay. But in general, yeah, the missions are kind of meh. Missions are pretty meh. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at on that one. I don't think there's anything wrong, because I know a lot of people who enjoy missions, but I don't really feel like they add a ton in the game. It depends on when it is, though, because the lower decks ones are usually really well written. So it does depend on which ones we're discussing. What's up, Todd? How you doing? Good to see you. Surprised they haven't fluffed up and reused an old currency? Well, part of the reason that they do new currencies is new currencies mean that people don't have them, thus you have to charge for the new currency, right? You gotta charge for the new currency. Remember how many times we've been asked the past 3 years, they absolutely refuse to add a currency converter? I think it'll come one day. I just don't know when. One day. And no, TJ, no clue. No clue. Yeah, no clue on that one. Level 35, and I've only bought Syndicate Primes and the VP each month. The only problem with that Syndicate Prime, man, is that first Syndicate Prime already feels less value now thanks to the other ones rolling out. But Syndicate is a great thing to invest in. Is 36 mil power good for level 39? It is, Marcine. It is. 36 million power is a pretty beefy level 39. That's actually a very beefy one. Now, you can get bigger than that. Just kind of like how I'm pretty big for a 46, but there are bigger ones. Now, I think the best 46, or the highest powered 46, let's say that one. The highest powered 46 in the game is currently 92 million. And when I'm around the top 10 when I have all my ships set up. So, but the highest 46 in the game is 90 million. About 10 million higher than I am. You'll settle for cleaning out the old mission tokens thing? I mean, I'll be honest, if they just wiped my inventory, besides the things I need, like materials and Armada directives, but if they wiped it of like old event currencies and stuff like that, I wouldn't even complain if I got nothing for it, just because it would improve the game's stability to get rid of all that wasteless currency being constantly drawn up and asked for every time the game reloads something. So, girl, I just unlocked X board. Congrats, Jonathan. Only took 30 holes on my tier A side to figure out. Ready to knock down those grinds and switch from speed leveling to big growth. Very nice, John. That is an exciting time to finally have those researches and everything. So freaking awesome, man. Freaking awesome. Freaking awesome, man. Thanks for all your advice. Well, that's what I'm here for. And I won't be going anywhere. Be right here. How many think the new territory research tree items are going to suck? I think they're going to be pretty good. Look, I'll say this. Research has been one of the few things they've been adding that's actually been semi-balanced and decent. Station research research extension, that was a good addition a couple months ago. Starship extension with the Gilded Pickle is balanced, good research. So I am, you know, screw Rev for being optimistic, but the research I'm actually optimistic about. I'm actually optimistic about the new research tree. Am I optimistic about the new weird battle pass? No. But I will admit that I'm looking forward to seeing what the research is. So, can you push to put more useless ancient loops in the export tree? We certainly can, Grant, because just like you, I want to get rid of some of these old loops so I can focus on new stuff. Right? And in a way, Voyager has kind of helped with that too, because I'm doing ship parts, but it also helped me get my Fuchsia to tier 7. And it wasn't there before. So, yeah. I go over and click here. And then get this. I'm not going to be able to finish out my overflow, but I'll get what I can. Oh, just finished it. So I end up 12,500 short. 12,500 short. And max your feature thanks to the Voyager Foundry. Yeah, I mean, the Voyager Foundry has some good. Now, that loop is a terrible grind. It's awful. But in terms of, you know, working on Latinum and everything or getting your amalgam up, that was really nice. Because the amalgam research they just added was pretty good to improve that refinery. So, you know, 10,000 short on the 5th milestone for the Hue event. I've looked at every option and can't get that last 10,000. A little bummed, but not shocked. So you've already done your regular armadas and your Borg and your Dominion solos? Well, Slag, the actual thing I hate that I'm missing is more of the broken keys for a treasury. But that's what I more hate that I'm losing out on. But that is what it is, right? Finished managed research yesterday, so that loop is done. Nice, Draco. I am nowhere near. I do have some decent research in my, not the Mantis, but my Defiant research is actually pretty good. But my Mantis is still relatively low tier and low level, and my Mantis research is pretty lackluster. I don't really invest in the research material. I've done pretty well for the Defiant, as you can see. And I'm working on getting the Cerritos done and everything. And then I have the Voyager. I'm done with Voyager until I go up a couple tiers. I can't do anything else on Voyager. I invested pretty heavily on getting my Voyager loop set up. And now I'm doing the same thing with the Pickle. And then other things are kind of secondary. Other things are secondary. Go this way. Voyager refiners are going to make it super fast to tier up the Franklin A. It certainly is going to help, right? Yeah, I think that's really important. And when we talk about the value of this, you don't necessarily have to have the Franklin A anymore, but you see, I'm upgrading these and doing these researches too to try to get as many of those regular resources that I can. You recently discovered away teams research? Oh, dude, away teams is really important. I can't believe you missed it this long, man. And away teams is one of my favorite things to do because away teams are a great way for the free-to-play. If they really invest a lot of time and thought into it, figure out the process, can really help jump you ahead and give you a lot of things that you need. We got to go do freebooters. I'm over here just repairing a ship, not doing my freebooters. We got to go do freebooters. All right, let's send that out. There we go. Franklin A is obsolete. This you should never have part shortage for it. Well, I have, Joseph. I've had a part shortage for it. But also, one of the reasons is because it's another daggum loop. You know, you just get tired of all the dang loops, right? Get tired of the loops? I'm gonna lower my desk, y'all. Sit back down. All right. What other questions y'all got? If y'all are watching in, if y'all haven't already, please go check out the survey for this month. Let me know your honest opinions. Good, bad, ugly, angry, screaming, yelling, twisting, crying, trying, whatever. Make sure you go get it in, get it done. Hopefully, by the way, my new camera or my fixed camera should get here tomorrow, so we can go back to having decent quality there. You haven't done the amalgam grind since you got the Voyager. The only thing with that, Lango, the reason I'm tempted to do the amalgam more is the amalgam research that's in the Voyager refinery, or I'm sorry, that's in the Voyager part of the Starship tree that lets me turn in more. And that actually is kind of useful, especially if you're talking about getting the exocomps, which when you're leveling rep, those exocomps are super valuable. Did somebody hit me? What the heck? That thing hit like a son of a gun. That one felt feisty. Todd, that's my hope. Remember, I sent it off to Canon. $500 later, they're supposed to be sending it back and it should be fixed. And they said it would come here tomorrow in the mail. So we shall see. Fingers crossed and arms raised that nothing bad's happened to it. Yeah, Roboski, I hit the big cannon. I hit the big cannon. It went boom, boom. They fix or give you a replacement. Supposedly they fixed it. Supposedly they fixed it. We'll see. I mean, I have no reason to not trust Canon, but it got really blurry. Well, it's because I'm using an old webcam now, right? I'm using an old webcam, and I wanted to get the Canon fixed. If nothing else, I wanted it fixed by the birthday stream. I have quite a few of y'all who've been very kind. About 10 people who've sent a gift here to our birthday stream. If anybody does want to get something for the birthday, remember I said I'll plug myself about once an hour, nothing big. We're not really big for super plugging here, but if you do want to support me, we have our birthday stream October 6th. But if you want to get a present from my Amazon wish list, and we're going to open some of those on stream as well as show off some of the games, You can do that with that link above. Not required, but if you want to do something nice, my birthday is coming up here real soon, and I'd appreciate it. I appreciate it. It was me. A refresh fixed it. Oh, good, Joseph. Good. I'm glad that there weren't any issues. But yeah, Kevin, they just fixed my camera. They did not give it a replacement. They did not give a replacement. Yes, birthday. BIRFDAY. How did you learn it, Todd? Is it Ops 44 and glorified with Romulans? I can see the Pylum at the end of the tunnel. Jason, you're going to love it, man. I've got a Pylum. She's sitting at tier 8. She's one of my favorite things in this game. She's 45 million points of pure Romulan power, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I'm actually happy for you. Let's go over here, and we're going to wrap up here soon with this thing getting smacked around by these probes. How do I get Romulan moving faster? So is Romulan the one you're trying to recover, like your third one, or is it your second one? I've used missions to help keep it up and keep it paced up. I love my Pylum. No regrets on taking it to tier 8 either. $425,000 Latinum. Ben, my packs have significantly more than that. Let me show you what one of my packs has. So like my Elite Points pack, this is a $50 pack, has 440,000 Latinum. That's a $50 pack. Anybody want to send me this and get my overflow? I'm just kidding. Do not waste your money. Absolutely not. Oh, it's a $20 one. Tempting, but still no. I'm not spending $20 just to get more broken rods. But like you see this one, 560,000. That's actually kind of low. What's this one got? 560. I've had some that were over 700,000. Plastic Armada pack is 990. So this one almost gives me 1 million Latinum in a single box. Pylum is your main ship on 53. It's a great ship. I enjoy it. Let's see. Amber, I have not watched Buffalo or Miami this weekend, so I can't really render an opinion based on these games. Working on Ramen as your third faction. I would use missions to kind of speed up the process. Get it up there. Use missions to kind of like jumpstart it. We get another 45, or sorry, 48. Soul is good for quick boosting ROM. This is true. Grinding in Soul will definitely help out and will potentially get you a free Hydra / Kelvin if you grind out enough. Free Hydra / Kelvin. Bears versus Broncos next week. Go Broncos. Go Broncos. No problem, Artemis. Happy to do it, man. That's what I'm here for. Help out the community, love on the community, entertain the community, inform the community, all the things with community. All the things. All the things. All right, let's go do this one. Or free Newton if you ground Soul. You can get Newton, Kelvin, or Hydra BPs in Soul. I did not do enough to get a Newton. I did get like 75 Newton blueprints. Let me see how much I'm sitting on. 76 Newton blueprints from that grind. But I did not grind out an entire one yet. Did not grind out a whole one. Always use missions for rep gains. That's what I tend to do, Matt. Now, but there's some people who do the missions just because they want to do the missions. So, all right, let's go ahead and get this repaired. Am I done with my Borg today? I am. And I'll do these pulls tomorrow. I need to see how close this is to upgrading because we still have that leaderboard going on right now. Let's see what can I upgrade on this. All right, we can upgrade that weapon and that weapon. That means we just got one left to upgrade. And we'll have taken it as high as it can go on this particular account until I go up to the next level. My bottleneck for Pylum would be common crystal. Super expensive to convert to Latinum. Had over 1 million Latinum, nowhere near enough. Hey, remember, I don't know if you remember, this is actually what I try to warn people about. That's why I tell people to start refining commons at 39 and start saving up Latinum. Really do those away team missions for Latinum. Invest in those because you're going to need a ton of Latinum in G4 and G5 to eat up all the commons. Yeah. That's why I tell people, like, you see my account, I'm like, oh, Rev will have a few million. That ain't nothing. But that's also why I've invested so much of my time into being able to do those away teams. You see, I've got forum trade agreements going on right now. And also beyond that, I really encourage people to invest in their Fisha and stuff and at least be able to do the refine every day because it adds up and you're going to need it. You are going to need it. Let's see where I'm currently at on this. I can probably push up to about right here. I did say that tier 9 is going to be as high as I take the pylum. So, you see, ship parts are my current big bottleneck. Ship parts are what are slowing me down. Although the rares are also going to slow me down too. And I've already hit the button for 47. It's cooking. It's cooking. Oh, we do need to speed this up. So let's speed up my armory real quick. Yeah. Armory 42. Now I got the skins for the ships I don't really use anymore, but I do technically still use the Valdor. I'll start that up. And repair this. I do use the Valdor every now and then. Max it. It's the rares and epics lag. I can't max what the rares and epics cost. Camping 29, Terry Bordis, what ship to start saving for? I would pick you 132 and at least 134. Just so that you make sure you're really doing good for solos. You're over 1 billion Latinum and it would barely cover a few upgrades. Draco, wow. Life at level 60 is expensive. Wow. After you get all 3 reps to 1 billion lock, what would it take? What will you take to 15 first? I'm probably going to try to slowly dual grind to 15 billion first, but I need to get my ships up to here to, I need to get my Klingon up to 1 billion before I worry about it. I'm not really pushing the ROM any. So anyway, weapons against hostiles and armadas about 250. Makes me tempted to use the Valdor again, to be honest with you, or the Katinga. Both of them are, you know, decent ships. Here's my Katinga here, 27.4. That's a beefy tier 7 Katinga. It's a big battleship. And see, this is the reason I don't use the Valdor as much anymore, because the Valdor is only tier 5. Yeah, I guess on the I guess with its refit now. Where is it? Ship abilities. Here it is. I guess I could use it now if I really wanted to get even beefier in armadas with my Katinga. What's up, V-Real? How you doing, Francisco? Good to see you. Why do they keep doing this back in maintenance on all servers, knowing that's breaking things like events and battle logs? So, Joseph, the prep is to get ready for all the stuff coming in the next month, especially the territory updates. So, you can scrap a Bortus at 42. You can scrap a Bortus at 42. Let me double check that, or I just told you wrong information. But you should be able to scrap it, I think, at 42. Maybe 40. 42, yeah. Shipyard 42 is when you'll scrap a Bortus, Saladin, or Centurion. Would you say for people low 30s that are currently on single faction on Federation? Depending on where they're at, go ahead and lock Federation and dual grind up the other two, or work your way back. Work your way back and, you know, fix it. Depends on where, like if you're only at 2 million, I would say go fix one and dual grind. If you are much further than that, then don't necessarily worry about it. So, we're going to swap this out and we need to go grab our Pylum real quick. Grab our Pylum. We got to go do our Mantis runs. Push the button for 40 so you're in a good path. Nice. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you. Getting all our work done for the day. If y'all got more questions, throw them in before we get to our wrap-up point. We got to make sure my kids are behaving and in bed, and got to get ready for tomorrow's content. We will be doing our grading, as well as I will try to do some more with the Star Trek Infinite people. If you have any questions about Star Trek Infinite, let me know. I mean, we got a special area in my Discord for it. Now we'll try to ask whatever I can and find out. If y'all have questions up until that point, feel free to ask me. I'm here to support all Star Trek stuff. So I'm real big on that. You're a newer player and appreciate your content. Well, I'm glad, Chris. I'm here to help out new players, old players, vets, rooks, noobs, all of them. I'm here for everybody. I'm here for them all. So, to upgrade or unlock an epic fact ship before hitting Ops 34. I mean, you can't build it until Ops 34, Keith. But, I mean, you can go ahead and get one and have one ready. But you can't do anything with it until Ops 34. So, grade for this arc is an F. Well, make sure you put that grade in our survey. Make sure you put that grade in our survey. And then still watch the video tomorrow because I want you to support my family. So, what's the benefit of triple grind? Lose auto grinding. One, more access to ships, easier to max out the officers, and then you'll never thirst for speed ups, which is a really big deal for a lot of people. Those are the main valuable or values to it. And there are others, I guess, but those would be the main ones. Most people don't bother with auto grinding in faction space. Now, there is some value to it if you want to do that, but usually the auto grinding, you're going to get ships that you don't necessarily need anymore. And if you're wanting to do it for ship XP, then I would encourage you to do that in other spots like the new Texas hostiles that pay out better ship XP for the auto grinding. The main auto grind spots to do now are in Texas space or augment space. And, you know, you can do it in faction space, but there's not really a need to do it in faction space. Rather, take advantage of all the other options and ships and officers and things like that. Check over the Kelvin or Katinga. I personally would lean Katinga. Katingas tend to be, or all battleships tend to be a little bit better in terms of like hostile grinding because better hull health, but it really doesn't matter. It's an issue of preference, whatever you prefer. One negative to a Kelvin is it would eat a lot of parts that you might want for your pylum. So if you plan on going for a pylum, don't invest a lot in the Kelvin, maybe just a little bit. If you're going for a Newton, don't invest super heavy in a Katinga. I didn't go for a Newton, so my Katinga's tier 7. But if I had been going for a Newton, I would not have spent all those uncommons on a Katinga. So, auto grind stops being helpful on the larger ships, so little XP plus they get blown up as floaters. It definitely depends on where you are, Slag. I'm still trying to auto grind some of those just because these ships that have 12 tiers, that's a lot of XP, man. That is a lot of XP. All right, go ahead and wrap this up and we'll head on home and then we can do our double pull. 17 rare uranium from a tier 6 Stella. You're going to get there. Don't worry. We hate the Stella grind here. I have done much better at my Stella grind. But don't worry. I'm right here to say how terrible I feel like the Stella grind is. So, what ships would be okay to auto grind in Texas space? You'd have to be doing 4-star ships and up, right? Like my Valdor can kill ships in Texas space, but I definitely wouldn't try that with a lower end Enterprise or anything. The ships are they're really strong. They're really strong. All right, y'all, we're going to wrap up. I know there's still some questions there, but feel free to hit me up on Facebook or on Discord. I want to answer everything that I can. We're going to hop off for the night because it's about 9 o'clock. Check the kids, get them in bed, and then I also got to get ready for content tomorrow morning on 2 different YouTube channels. So I got to do one for my football channel, and then we're going to have to do some for our channel right here. But that's actually a good thing. I'm really excited about working with y'all as I always am. Y'all are amazing. I love and appreciate every single one of y'all more than I can properly say. And I hope y'all know that is true. Live long and plunder. Stay safe for the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being y'all. And I will catch y'all on the next video. Deuces.
An even better outro than the intro for the Empire.